Here we go.
Yes!
Please, please come.
Our CCFMs to felicitate the guests joined us today. Ms. Seema Kashyap.
Come.
Thank you.
Ms. Raji Patel.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. Manu Sharma. Thank you everyone. One quick line in terms of what's the experience so far. All of you, one quick line in terms of what's the experience so far about the show.
I'm just making a comment. You get tired before I make a comment.
It's been amazing, and I think FMS is doing a great job. Excel is a great job. There is an innovation, and there's a new arena of work that is not introduced. Excel, collaborating in fashion now. So I think there's a great. I love it anyways. So it's great, and I'm seeing a lot of developments. So it's been great, and I think FMS has done a very great display. Thank you so much.
It's a very, very inspiring showcase that you guys have presented. And I must say that these 2 years of online learning, all I can say is how much better you would have been if you were here for the courses. But that doesn't take anything away from you. All the best.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we'll start with the town hall with Mr. Manu Sharma. We are honored to have with us Mr. Manu Sharma, along with his RBL team, Ms. Divyani Anand, Ms. Akshita Anand, Ms. Divyata Rastogi, Ms. Garima Keller. If you can just wave. Mr. Sharma is the eldest of NIT New Delhi and is currently the Group Vice President of Reliance Brands Limited. In his sturdy professional journey, he has handled multiple roles like buying, merchandising, category management and retail operations at key retail groups in India like Pantaloons, Mojani Group, etc. Requesting everyone for a round of applause as Mr. Sharma takes tenure.
Hi. Coming back to college and then hearing so many kind words from the faculty is a bit intimidating, but I'm happy to be back. I never said no to Sushil sir. He used to teach me back in Dept, and anytime he tells me to come, I can't say no to him. And I love interacting with students. I always feel that I have to give back to this great institute. I was like, back in those days, like most of my friends, I was a lost soul till this institute put me into the right track. I'm an engineer. I got selected in ICE as input at that time, and I was going there till it happened, and my mom pushed me to do it. Between the two, I also did SSP for some time, and I realized that getting up at 5 o'clock every day in the morning is not my cup of tea, and I got out of it. And then it happened, and what it opened up is a lot of industry interaction and started giving me a lot of horizon in terms of what Indian fashion industry looked like at that point of time and how it will grow. That time there were 3 Depts who were offering FMS as a course, IMS as a course, and I think Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Delhi. And there were very few people who graduated at that time. So there's always a lot of action during the placement days. I chose to pick up the company which I thought was going the fastest, was paying the lowest, and I thought, and a lot of times there's one thing that will possibly doing in a lot of your people's mind, what to pick. A lot of times it's always very big pride thing to get to the company who's paying you the most. But trust me, that doesn't matter at the start of your career. What matters is you get into the right ecosystem to mold you in the right manner, to give you the perspective that you need to be able to build your career in the future. So the first 5 years of your career, as long as you are learning a lot, and possibly if you are not being paid as high as possibly you as the person in your batch, and unfortunately, I keep telling that to a lot of colleagues also, that please don't compete with people around you. Compete with people who you think are role models. And that's where, and that's decides where you will end up in your careers. So, yeah, so I joined Pantaloon Retail India Limited because I was the upcoming shining star among retailers, and that journey was brilliant. Most of, again, a lot of people joined me with that time it used to be at least 1/3 of the batch joining Pantaloon Retail. Mathura used to be absolutely up there. It's a great company. I never wanted to join Mathura. ITC used to be a big company there, which was a very, very strong brand, just came up, etc. But because I was the choice that I took. And I took a journey which was different from all the other people who took because I worked in the CEO's office working with him on various projects. So the exposure I got at that point of time, I think, was the foundation that had helped me come and reach where I have. From setting up regional distribution centers, it was a new thing at that time. So people who used to call them mother DCs, and mother DCs were 200,000 square feet, etc. Nobody in the country was doing it, but we are doing it. We rolled out the first large retail rollout of SAP in the country. Again, it was called some project Sarthi, and I was part of the crack team. And while I was doing category as well, I kept getting into operations, various projects, and that gave me a lot of perspective. The only thing I would tell you as students graduating is trust your mentors, trust your seniors, and take the leap of faith, because most of us are there to help build your careers. The great thing about India as an economy is that it's growing fast, and there's so many opportunities in the market, and nobody's trying to take away one store from the other. Right? In a lot of saturated markets, you will see that there's no growth. People are sitting doing what they are doing. I see a lot of my colleagues get offended if I give them a 10% increment in India. If you give a 4-5% increment in other countries, now we run families around the world. And when I give out increments there, they're happy with the 4-5% increment as well, because anything that's getting increased is a great thing, because people don't sign up for yearly increments. But in growth economies, you're in a good space. I've also been doing a bit of crystal balling. I've been traveling a lot over the last 4-5 months across the world, and nobody and nowhere the confidence, the comeback has been as strong as in India. The way India has bounced back, amazing story. Gone to a lot of European countries, a lot of them still wearing masks, still the economies are struggling. They pulled in a lot of money from their coffers and gave it in the hands of people during the pandemic. And now they are struggling to manage inflation, and that's within their economies. People, any case, have got into a habit there of not putting hard work. And now all of them are in a bad shape. I see so many of our partners facing troubles in importing goods because the countries are running out of forex, and they are increasingly limiting the importation of goods, and a lot of restrictions coming in. So the situation outside, and you've heard about stories about US, and then we have a war which was nobody called for, and it's again at a very, very bad time. So, and I don't know if you've been following the numbers, but we beg to grow at 8.2, 8.4% this year. And among the $1 trillion plus economies, the next biggest is China at 4%. And we know what's going on in China, and I'm sure their growth estimates will get revised as quarters go by, because a massive issue in Chinese way of managing things, and the Western world has opened up to it. I've never seen an influx of Western companies coming and trying to set up manufacturing in India, and that's happening across categories. I've never seen the kind of investments that are coming into India, because India is a safe bet. It's a democracy. It's not opaque. It's transparent. English-speaking population. I don't know if you're aware, but in India we have more people who speak English than UK has. So the largest population who speaks English, it's easy to communicate versus going to China. You have to carry along a guy with you who can keep on talking their language and converting via the translators. But so India has a lot of inherent strengths. I think it's the start of the golden decade for India. Make the most of it, and I think we will go a long way as a country. And we are in, and Reliance, as a company, has been very, very India-centric. Hamleys is possibly one of those acquisitions which we've gone out of the country and done, but that was a very critical need for a business that we had created in India, which was fairly large. At that point of time, out of the 200 Hamley stores in the world, 100 were in India. Now we have around 230 stores, 140 are in India. So the principle was changing every 2 years, and it was getting very risky for us. That's when we decided that we'll take the plunge. But it's been a very interesting journey handling the business outside of the country. The Hamley business is headquartered in the UK, and the amazing amount of reaction in terms of the greatness of the brand. It's a 260-year-old brand that Hamley is. Anywhere we go in the world, it's received with such fanfare and so much of applaud. We will enter new territories this year, getting into US, getting into Canada, Australia. We've already signed up 4 franchises. Italy is opening up, Albania is opening up, Kosovo, Qatar. So we're now learning the ropes of the Hamley's business around the globe, and that's an interesting step up from what we've been doing traditionally. So just going back to 2010, when we started operations, and that's when I joined the Launchpad. We were given a mandate to bring into India international brands and start opening their stores and be the exclusive partner for India. 2010, that was, we opened some 5 stores, small turnovers. At least for the first 5 years of existence, nobody took us seriously. People thought that it's just a glance child that Reliance has created and it will go nowhere. From there to being a few thousand crores now, 70 plus brands, I can proudly say that the 70 brands are the best picks, and each one of them have been handpicked by us. Nowhere in the world can a company boast of brands sitting together under one umbrella. We have a denim cohort which is Nike Global, we have Diesel, we have G-Star, we have Replay, and Casting. So 4 of the premium brands in our kitty together, which again you couldn't see an example anywhere else. Similarly on the handbags portfolio, Michael Kors, Kate Spade, Coach, Tory Burch, these brands sit together with us. Similarly on the men's tailoring, and I can go cohort after cohort and say that these are brands that sit together under one umbrella, nowhere else in the world but with the Reliance brands. What it has created, what we've done is we've been true to ourselves. We've been brand purists. We're not constrained by our investment appetite. So we give every single brand its optimal level to run in India and invest independent of the other. So I run the casual wear portfolio, so brands like Armani, Chain, Superdry, Diesel, Scotch and Soda, G-Star, Replay. I'm oblivious of what my other colleagues possibly running a formal wear portfolio or a handbag portfolio or a luxury cohort doing in his life. I have a target, I have to open a number of stores, I have to deliver a certain top line and a bottom line, and I run after it. I don't care what's happening around me. But the unique strength that RBL brings in is when my business development guy goes to a mall, he's representing RBL and not my 6 brands or the luxury 6 brands or the men's tailored 6 brands. But we together represent half the size of the malls in most of the premium malls now. So that creates an unparalleled advantage. Similarly on any table of negotiation, we are in a very, very unique space. There used to be a time, I remember back in 2012-13, I was on other things also doing a lot of business development in terms of pitching to international brands. And we used to prepare long business plans, notes, etc. and go and pitch to international brands. The tables are turned. In most cases now we don't do it. It's the international brands that come to us and want to partner with us. And we always, and I admire my boss, Darshan, he's also my mentor. He is a man who stands by his words in a big way. So, and if we created principles for ourselves, we don't bend. So there have been a lot of relationships which I thought were very, very exciting. But because we don't sign any contract which are less than 20 years, we usually do 4 blocks of 20 years. We said no to some of the biggest brands because they wanted to do a 5-year contract, come to India, do a temporary setup, and be non-committal to the partnership. And we always said no to that. Darshan always believes in what we call the Hindu marriage, which is very difficult to break. And that's how our relationships are. All our joint ventures, we run our 20 plus joint ventures now. All our joint ventures are to perpetuity, there is no term to it. So they're all perpetual joint ventures. And our franchise agreements are 20 years at least. That's because we believe that if we have a 5-year horizon, we will try and make the brand, which is not the right way to do. We should first use the first 2-3 years to establish the brand, open the most beautiful stores that are possible. And I can, with a lot of confidence, tell you that you go to any of our stores in India and you go to their stores in anywhere in the world, to their home country, to their flagship, etc. Our stores will be as good, if not better, than what their stores are. In terms of fit-outs, in terms of merchandising, in terms of people. We focus a lot on our stores. In fact, as a culture, we call our stores as head offices and we call ourselves as day office. Because all the action is happening at our stores. The store teams have the empowerment, like back in 2011 when we opened Diesel, we hired people who were called fashion consultants, and the amount of training that happened was sent to me, etc. They were kids like yourselves. Sometimes they intimidated me also while I was coming from the head office. And they were so sharp, and that's where we set service level benchmarks in the country. Nobody was doing that. Fashion consultant was at that point called salesman, and that job was going down and down. People pride in being fashion consultants. And we created a growth chart internally to ensure that people who still stand by us have a very, very rewarding career. Again, experience doesn't matter in Reliance brands. It's what you bring to the table matters. We built through merit. Reliance has built itself through a lot of merit. And people have started at very, very young stages in their careers and grown to run businesses with us. The good thing about the environment is that the growth has been explosive for us. We now have 20,000 points of sale versus and that's a journey of 12, 13 years that I've been here. And we've gone international, multiple lines of businesses. We started with the mandate of getting into lifestyle space, but now we are getting into anything that's related to discretionary spend of the customers. So we run restaurants, we run malls, we do events. Acme Fashion Week is an event that is done by the Price World, which is a part of Reliance Brands. We now taking interest in designers, so we'll be creating of designers who we believe that at least one of them will become the next culture around the world. There are a lot of brands that we are now creating in India which we want to take global. So Hamley is going to start with a learning curve, but Hamley is not the game plan. The game plan is to create multiple brands that can spring out of India and become successful all around the world. Yeah, so that's the next big leg that Brandswell is doing. In terms of the way we work is, it's an entrepreneurship-led culture. I've been blessed to be in a company which allowed me to do multiple things. I'm sure none of you would know that 3-4 months ago I launched bicycles brand called Rallies. We launched a kids bicycle and we now got 800 bicycles doing extremely well. There's no store obviously, it's a general trade-led brand. And we now built it in India successfully, and I already have orders to start exporting it. And I see that Rallies can become a very large brand. And for a fashion company to do that, it's unthinkable. You go to any other fashion company, you won't find offshoots coming out in categories which are completely different. So, and it's just a research paper that we created sitting during the pandemic, and we wanted to do multiple things. So rallies is one of those offshoots where we created a full research paper, we did a lot of research on how hospital is shaping, how it become a increasing the growing industry because we were getting influential bicycle is coming up in a big way. And then I presented a paper to the group and the investment was approved in like a 15-minute conversation. And since then we've been coming after to set up the business and go right. In terms of, we started creating newer formats. We created the play concept in Happy's, which is always overbooked. And you go and try it now and on Book My Show and try a ticket for Happy's play. Chances are you will not find one for at least today and tomorrow. Saturday, Sunday, it's impossible to get a ticket on the spot. It's again an immersive concept that we developed and we want to take it to the world. We'll open some 20-30 shows in India, taking it around. So what I'm trying to say is it's a place where you, it's like you're funded by a private equity which is fairly large and for your size of dreams, the money is never a problem. But the dream should be in the right direction and you can dream anything. It's not constrained to that if you do fashion, I have to sell fashion. As silly as it may sound, Mother Care is a brand that we've been doing. Mother Care never did diapers in the world, ever. And we are among the top 3 diaper sellers now in the world. We created our own product, took a license from Mother Care. And Mother Care diapers selling some unbelievable quantities across supermarkets, hypermarkets. We create our own line of toiletries. Now, international franchise of Mother Care are asking us to sell that to them. So it's a reverse process that's happening. So it's a very interesting ecosystem. The organization takes a lot of leap of faith in you, and as long as you make sense. So that's very important. And then you can grow as swiftly as your own aspiration is, because you will never be contained by the organization's capability to invest back. And that's very, very important is what I feel. But I wanted to, rather than this being a monologue, I'm happy to take questions, happy to interact with you guys.
I've changed the format now. I'll request Shilpa to join us. Now, a bit of chit-chat with it. So this is one question which is come from the students. What does a typical day in the life of a management trainee at Reliance Brands look like?
Depends on the management really. So depends again on the discipline you are part of. So we offer roles across various disciplines: visual merchandising, marketing, buying, planning, and if you choose to do operations, whatever you choose to do, because you believe that you should go for a calling rather than the degree that you have in a particular discipline. When I joined Big Bazaar, keep going back to my past. When I joined Big Bazaar, I was in 15 days. They told me to go and join Blue Foods. Blue Foods used to be a company that Kishore Gani had some shares in. They used to run restaurants like opportunities. They sent me there. 15 days I worked there. Then they realized, oh, this is a mistake in the Nifty and to be pulled back. But I had a lot of fun reviewing accounts of Blue Foods, and they put me into the finance and accounts department there. Then they called me back, put me into Big Bazaar category, and next I know they hand me over a ticket to Bhubaneswar, which is Bhubaneswar used to do very well for them. It was the third biggest Big Bazaar store. They sent me to Bhubaneswar, and I told my senior, because we always are blessed to have a lot of seniors in the same organization. I told him, I'm not going to Bhubaneswar, I'd rather resign. And I have so many other options, I'll join somewhere else. So he said, you go there, in 1 week you don't like it, you resign. So I took that date and I went to Bhubaneswar. I had a ball. I was selling pressure cookers on a 30 on a 50 hours with a hook. Yeah, so I've done all of that. And it was so much fun. But there's so much learning at the floor. I think any time I get in my, even on Saturdays, I try and take my family to one of the malls where there's a good play area so that the kids can play. But I can quickly take a round of the stores, especially competition. It's very, very important to know what your competitor is doing and doing good, and then you strive to do better than what he's doing. So spending time at stores is the most critical, and learning to sell to a customer is the most difficult. I used to possibly today I will not qualify with my white beard to go and sell it at a super driver diesel store because there were young cool kids selling there and they're not like me. But I used to do a lot of sales myself till at least 5-6 years ago. Because interacting with customers gives you so much insight that you can't get it anywhere else. No Excel, no computer, no. You have to do a first-hand experience. I've been to, I would love to go to warehouses, see what they're doing, etc. But that's where your backbone is. Usually, none of us take care or are even cognizant that we have a backbone until it starts hurting. So it's important to take care of it before that. So, we spend a lot of time, focus energy on ensuring our warehousing, supply chain, logistics are in good shape. So management training, by the book, you can, whatever discipline you join, you manage that part of the discipline, learn everything. The good thing about brands, unlike some of the department store chains, large department store, we don't have a very, very defined role. The good thing there for a lot of guys yourselves is that you can talk, learn anything and everything under the roof that the brand is doing. The marketing guy is sitting next to you, the visual merchandising guy is sitting next to you, the operations guy is there. Attend everything because that's the learning curve and grasp and be hungry for that knowledge because that will go a long way. While you join the buying team, they possibly tell you or involve you in the next season's buys or whatever that entails. If there's a sourcing needed brand, so you understand sourcing part of it. It's design, in-house design. We also have now in-house design so related to design. But you can get exposure to whatever you want to. You can do a 9 to 6 job, do A to B as your mentor has told you to because that's some work that he wants to offload to you. But that should not be the idea. For you, the idea is that I've come to this great organization in the next 3 months. Let me understand everything that I can. And I'm the hungriest of everybody else. And that's what creates the differentiation. Yeah? Because 9 out of 10 people will say, अच्छा मेरे को ये job दिया, ये project दिया, मैं ये job कर दूँगा और मैं ये project कर दूँगा. The people who make a difference are the people who say कि इसके आसपास क्या है, what all can I also learn and understand. What does this e-commerce guy do? What is performance marketing? Let me understand. How does he put bets? Performance marketing is nothing but putting bets on a daily basis on various social media channels to bring customers to your websites. And they're constantly measuring that against, as a throughput against the money put in. So they're very, very interested in nuances of what we do as a business. And the brand teams are very, very cohesively built, so they're not large teams. So the biggest fashion brand in RBL today is Superdry, and that's a 30 people team. Smaller brands will have 4, 5, 6, 10 people in that. And you can interact with everybody to understand what they do. Yeah. And that's very, very important while you're doing your project. Even if you now are graduating and going to a new organization, please tap on the door of the people that impact your business but possibly you don't directly are responsible for it, to understand how their life looks like and understand how their function works. Because if you want to be a rounded professional, you need to have an overall 360 view of the business. And that's very, very important. So, yeah, that's my answer. Not a straight one or crooked one, but just to think you where what you can do during that.
No, you are very nicely getting a trajectory of how you have moved in your career, starting from your college. And we have got a very good insight of your business. I will not ask you anything related to your business strategies and other aspects. I'll go back to the positives. And I remember, when I used to teach him, he was shy, introvert, but that doesn't mean that he was a backbencher. He was always a frontbencher. But he was a very low profile, down-to-earth model, what we call. So we would just like to know that how have you evolved from shy, introvert guy who came from Kanpur, Agra, and then you entered into a retail business where you have acquired Hamlet. You are a part of a team which has acquired all the international brands. So how has this evolution happened and what is the success mantra in fact? If you can tell this, and I know that there is no formula for success mantra, but I'm sure all of the students would like to know what is the success mantra for that.
So, if I were to tell you why I was never shy, by the way. I was a rowdy.
In terms of classes, yes, you were shy because.
So I came from engineering background, I came from a
He
very...
was chupa uska.
No, 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 nothing I have. पहले एक साल कुछ समझ में नहीं आया हो क्या रहा so that's the point. So I come to a very different environment. I grew up in Agra, born and brought up. I was a very good student in my school, but then completely left. Lost track. I wanted to get into politics and all that. And I did engineering from Agra because I wanted to make a base there, etc. By the fourth year of engineering, I realized that politics need a lot of money and a godfather to hold you.
In your engineering college, how many boys were there?
I think there were 4 girls, that's easier to tell. I also accidentally ended up being in Dept, and my mom pushed me to finish my studies before I get into my job, so I'm happy to get into it. It was very different ecosystem, very different culture. Classes used to actually happen, and engineering college I never used to attend. So I rather do profile and try and understand things. Yeah, I would never talk a lot. Today I only talk because that's my role. I need to motivate people to work. I need to meet a lot of senior people, middle people, young people at different phases of their careers. And one promise that we give to everybody who comes to our is that we have to be there, make changes in their careers and put all our energy and effort to build their careers, because if their careers build, the business will automatically build its an outcome. But I will tell you one thing which I've been very lucky of. I always chose my mentors starting from the campus. I had done one of my internships I've done with Vidya, one I had done with Madhura. And by Madhura and its own leaders, but my interactions with them were very, very focused on the job at hand. Because when I was there, I met Rajan Mahopati, then CEO of and what a guy. I realized that this guy will teach me more than anything else. And I actually went after him for that job and not anything else. When I moved to Mojmanis after 3 years, by the time Rajan had moved out, the organization had promoted, political affairs had come in, there's a lot of things happening. That's where I moved out. I moved out to Mojmanis because Mojmani was building a series of luxury events in India, and I wanted to experience that side of it. So I've always chosen my mentors, and then Darshan happened, and Darshan was an industry icon. He's the one who built international brands successfully. He bought Tommy into India, etc. And Tommy was doing very well. And then when he moved to Reliance Brands, and he took over Diesel, and then our office used to be across the road. So Reliance Brands started from an office where Dhirubhai Ambani used to sit. It's at Bhopal, near the Metro Cinemas, and it was a pretty ordinary office. And Mojmani used to have like the swankiest office possible at the rooftop of the Metro Cinemas, and there's a Astro struck on the roof and triple height ceilings. Mohan Mojmani was a very tasteful guy, so he had done very, very well. And one of the days I walked, a couple of friends had joined Reliance Brands right across the street. And one of the days I ended up meeting the friends, pulled me into Reliance Brands. And one conversation I knew this was the guy who could teach me a lot more tricks than I knew at that point of time. And so possibly that's one trick that has played out very well in my career, that I have chosen my mentors very well. People who are a wealth of knowledge, they are people who know what they're doing, and they have a very large canvas. Some of the people you will go and you will see as you move out and people who are doing well, but have a very, very set pattern to their lives. And then there are people who have very large canvas thinkers. And it's always good to be part-time working with people who are large canvas thinkers, because they will continue to move. And they have it pushing me, push up my personality and different and that's when you start working with them and start interacting with them, and that brings a wealth of knowledge. I still remember around 5 years ago, that's the time when we are transforming into getting into mergers, acquisitions, taking new companies off the market and integrating them with Reliance Brands. That would was कुछ एक साल का कुछ ऑफलाइन वो कर लेता हूँ mergers acquisitions का course, was now getting to do this procedure actually. And he laughed at me didn't say anything. And then I realized that on the job learning, working with him, and he involved me into a lot of, he required mother care, he required families. And we now do it on a daily basis, but when that was happening. So on the job learning, there is nothing better than that. So every single clause on that legal document, what would be the repercussions of it, what would it mean in worst case scenario. And dealing with lawyers, dealing with people sitting on the other side. I've seen him and that's where I've learned from. And I can tell you no issue can issue. So it's very important, crucial mentorship. I feel can build progress.
Thank you, Anu. And coming back to your college days, because you have been giving so much insight into the business that I'm tempted to again ask you a question on your college days. You have been taught by what we call as the founding members or big pillars of NIFT, Dr. Patra, Dr. Veera, Dr. Bharadwaj, and we used to call them three big Bs of NIFT at that time. Now you have interacted with them, you have studied under them, you have also been interacting with the current generation of professors. So, if I can ask you, how do you compare your professor of those days and professors that you interact in today's time?
See,
This is a direct question which compares them with us.
that's a difficult one, and I can get away easily by saying that I've never attended the classes of professors these days. Interaction doesn't help. But those guys are legends. I know Dr. Batra. I think he's again being a mentor to me. I still speak to him on and off. I'm in touch with him. He's a great guy. And he told me 10 things to do. I did all 10 things and all 10 things work. He's been like my counselor when I needed direction in early years of my career. What I feel is professors are all good, but how much you are able to get out of them is more important. So I think we were the only batch, four of us, who went to Dr. Batra after this first semester. There was like a 2-week break or a 1-week break between 2 semesters, and we told him, sir, we want to go and meet all the companies. He said, what do you want to do? He said, just you connect us to like 5 people, and we want to go. We named like 5-6 companies, some in Bangalore, some in Bombay, some in Delhi, and we said in the next 12 days that's what we want to do. He had so great equity. He just kept calling some of the CEOs, some of the heads of departments, and told them that these are these 4 kids who want to come and see you on particular day, and then you should provide that second-class train tickets. Possibly that's the first time I traveled in a second-class train ticket. Going from Delhi to Bangalore, and there was someone, I remember that. What most others do. So the professors were great that time. They had a wealth of knowledge. I'm sure your professors are equally good. I only interact with them very little outside the syllabus, so I can't comment on that. But the idea is please utilize them as much as you can. Not what the textbooks tells you, but what you can ask them to do in terms of industry interface, etc.
Before I hand over to Dr. Lipi, I have one more question. Now you have graduated almost 16 years, and today we say that every 5 years or 7 years the generations are changing. So probably 3 generations of students you have interacted with. How do you see the mindset of these? You have interacted with millennials and then with the Gen Z also. So what is the difference in terms of the mindset of these 3 different generations of internees that you would have seen? If you can just, because you have been interacting, taking lots of internees, so probably you'll have a better idea.
I'll be transparent, I'll be upfront. Kids today, they have so much access to knowledge. And in my times, if I had to find that little knowledge on retail, I had to go through the entire newspaper to find where it has come. There was hardly any internet, it was not easy to access. Now you can go to an app and choose these are the interest areas and you only get news about it. I'm sure a lot of you would be doing it. So in terms of knowledge acquisition, I think these kids are up there. They understand. In fact, there's a lot of reverse mentoring that happens because I learn a lot from them what's happening in the Millennium Club, especially in departments like marketing, where you want to constantly understand what's the new engagement mantra with the customer. But what I see in Badminton is being a bit of a worry is impatience. They want everything as of yesterday, as easily served on the table as possible. That's been a worry because we believe that what you get out of dirtying your hands yourself, rolling up your sleeves, will never happen sitting in a air-conditioned office doing it the easy way. And that's very, very important. Sometimes you're, possibly the people that you will work with will push you to give that extra 2 hours to the day or make you do things that you don't like. But it's part of the game. While you hear a lot of news about Reliance acquiring this, Reliance acquiring that, you should see, I wish I could show you the midnight calls that happened with the lawyers when you were aggressively discussing terms and this clause, that clause, aggressively negotiating it. And one clause in the agreement, if it goes wrong, it creates the worst disputes. And you know what has happened with Amazon and Future. Because some professional missed out one clause and put it incorrectly. So it's very, very important. There's a lot of tough work behind the beautiful or the showcase that you see outside. And as professionals, you have to do that as much as you do the other things. So it's very important to do dirty work.
We were talking about luxury a couple of minutes back, and we touched upon it. But specifically, what are the unique challenges and opportunities that India has as far as luxury is concerned?
Okay, so Akshita, you will talk more on luxury than I can. So I'll just give you a context. India has biggest challenge for luxury in India is India has 20,000 towns, with each town having a few hundreds of luxury consumers. You can't set up beautiful stores to reach them. Yeah. The other problem is that luxury needs the adjacencies, needs the environment, and we have very few environments where luxury can thrive in India. We are trying to build that through a few concepts. So these malls, I'm sure you would have gone to the Geo World, right? That's a product which is largely doing the bridge brands, etc. But we're also creating a luxury project in BKC, which will, the Geo One Center, which comes up towards the end of this year, which will have first-line luxury brands like Vuitton, like Hermes, and all that. But that again is limited. You still can't reach out to them. They're wealthy, ultra HNI sitting in Guwahati or Trivandrum, for arguments. You can't open a store to them. And they're not receptive to buying it online. You can't just buy a 200,000 rupee bag by looking at it. Indians are still not. And luxury is experience, you could build it over time. So, the biggest challenge is distribution. How do you get to the customer? The good news is that India is creating the highest number of ultra HNIs in the world. We are the country, we are first generation of money, so people, especially in the first generation of money, spend on luxury because it's aspirational. So the macros are very, very strong. Distribution is a challenge. But we'll get there. And we believe that the way India is growing, China will, what happened in China 10 years ago, 15 years ago, will happen to India very soon. And we are waiting for that tide to come. But yeah, Akshita, you want to add something on that? Just to introduce Akshita, heads buying for diesel. Diesel is one of our most loved brands. It's also one of the strongest denim brands in the country. It's again a brand that started when we bought diesel into India. I was hired for diesel in RBL. We used to sell a denim at an average price of 7,000 Indian rupees. Average price of diesel denim is around 24,000 to 25,000 Indian rupees. So it's moving towards luxury. If you say it's all, and they call it alternate luxury because denim is not. But here's absolutely.
Yeah, this is better. So I hope you all are doing great today. It's nice to be sitting in Dept, I think after 4 years. I was also a Dept graduate, specifically in fashion management. So it's great to be back. But yeah, my luxury specifically pertaining to the Indian consumer is that for the Indian consumer specifically, the experience is very, very important. And that's why there is sometimes a challenge to service them online. But then again, there are a lot of great players out there, such as Ajio Lux is one of those places where even when you open the app, it's a great experience for the consumer just to scroll through. So just an experience from that point of view for the consumer is extremely important. But another unique point is, as long as your product is good, as long as the experience is good, like Manu mentioned, the Indian customer is not really wary of paying, for the price of the product. As long as it's serving the purpose, it's great quality, fabric, you get the experience, they would not shy away, they would not think twice as long as they like the product. Another challenge that I can think of in that sense is probably India as a country from a trends point of view is quite behind. We are kind of essentially laggards. So probably what is trending maybe right now in Europe or US is what we will probably see 2 years later. But then again, that's something that wherein we come in and we kind of understand what the consumer wants. So those are certain points where I think the Indian consumer is very, very unique in terms of how you deal with them with luxury
But
products.
even in the luxury, do you see that?
Yes.
Even in the luxury, people were happy shipping in large money to pick up a bag or thinking they are far behind the trend.
So I think that's a very small set of consumer. I don't think that's largely the
That's on
consumer.
the luxury front, the consumer is anyway the niche customer, right? We don't have
Agreed,
a huge
but-
base there. But do you think even they lag behind on trends? I'm just asking.
That's what I see.
always thought, yeah.
Yes, that's what I see. So if
That's
I
great because what I always I think is that they are travelers and they travel, they're travel porters themselves, and that those are the consumers who reach out to buy a luxury brand and clients or any other.
for sure, but I mean the only difference is if I were to give an example, because I work in the denim sphere of it. If I specifically talk about what's currently trending in denim, let's say, it's straight fits. I mean, you guys, of course, millennials, Gen Zs, you guys know that it's streetwear that's trending, so you have a lot of oversized fits, etc., etc. But if I were to look at what my consumer is heavily buying, it's not straight fits, it's slim. Right? So in terms of the consumer getting you the trends, a majority chunk of it would still be behind. So that's something that we have
But
to
in that case, I'm sorry guys,
No, it's
No, it's
open,
okay,
it's
it's
an
okay.
open session. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Actually, we can open the floor now. There's one last question which I'll ask. We can open the floor now. There's one last question which I'll ask him in the end. So that's okay. Anybody? Yes.
Yeah, you can continue.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So I was just wondering, because especially your AG is very specific, right? So don't you see that with the brands that you are in-house, if you end up offering us something that is last season or an old fashion which is not in trend, do you think that you're not able to then keep pace?
No,
Because that is
actually,
what I felt. Because what happens with the brands is that when the luxury is not able to give what is in trend, how does it translate down then?
no, that's actually not what we do. Considering that the plethora of brands that we have, we never shy away from experimenting or taking bets. So if I know that a certain something is trending, I would definitely get it to India. But I would still bet on the things which I know definitely work for me.
Yeah, more
So-
self-cruise.
Yes, of course, more sensitive. But having said that, if you walk into any of our stores, I'm sure that you would never say that, okay,
Yeah,
यहाँ
I love
पे-
diesel. So let me tell you.
So
There's
yeah,
not a single day if I go to anything I don't stop Bangalore. You're still there, Bangalore?
Yes.
I remember UP City, right? I mean, I would make sure that I go to UP City, I stand in the evening, I go to your diesel store because I love diesel. And anybody who walks around wearing a diesel means it's strange, but I tell you the truth. I see these guys wearing good jeans. I say, wow, great jeans, diesel hai yaar. So I said, oh God, you know.
So, you know, of course, you have to live up to the name.
Yeah, so the way they say it, it's like, wow, you know. Nice.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, we of course have the balance at all times. You would see your bestsellers, you would also see the best. So there, I think, is a bit of a challenge. But then again, I'm sure we'll get there because we have all of you guys, of course. So yeah, I think those are the few
I think
things.
the spending is powers which is going now coming into the youngsters has to change the scenario. Because what I see with the price points that is happening, so most of my friends when 50s they go to buy diesel and I'm thinking, why are they buying diesel? And I'm looking at them and say, why you can't buy diesel? But then I think the price and that they think is या तो true religion ले लो. I think iconic has to go down. I think so true religion ले लो या diesel ले लो यार India में तो. So I'm like, so now I understand, you know, then they end up buying the slim fits or the basics. So that adds to your sales.
To your question of luxury consumption, we see two cohorts of luxury consumers in India. The ones who are very traveled, who've been buying internationally, and it's an easy purchase for them. So the convenience purchase. And if you have a budget tomorrow and you like a particular brand, your loved ones would buy then and there from a gift store, and if you like microphones or things. And that's the customer who's arrived in life understands trends buying from international markets, but also buying from us. The promise always is that what you see in a store, the diesel store in San Gavila, you will also see it here. Yeah, there's no difference in product. And especially brands like Superdry, there's a lot of sourcing now happening out of India. I launched before the global markets launched, so the product hits us first. That's one set of customer. The other set of customer is customer who's experiencing these brands for the first time, is loaded with money. In India, you see a lot of that now, and it's first generation money. They've sold off a tract of land somewhere and made a windfall, and then they don't know what to do. And we service a lot of those customers. Then the diplomats who are purchasing from us. They necessarily don't follow trends, but they want to be a part of the club, and hence the reason there. Different sets of customers, different ways to tackle it. In fact, one of the things that worked very, very successfully for us is during the pandemic when there was hardly any footfall at stores, we created this concept of distance selling, and you'll find a lot of articles of discussion on it. Till now, when the business is back, 30% of our sales are coming from distance selling. So our people are constantly reaching out to customers sitting in smaller towns across the country. Because we have their data, is that at some point of time shop fronts and reaching out to them and talking about the next product that's coming, which is the new in denim, etc., or the new it bag from Bottega, etc. So that reach out is now become an alternate type of revenue for us, which is being focused on in a big way. Because I know that a person sitting in a remote town of Vijayawada may not be able to come to Bombay for his birthday or etc. But my people have that engagement level where they know these covered their area. So they would reach out and say these are the new products, etc. So 30% of the revenue in the bridge to luxury segment is started to come out of stores. And I still think it's only the tip of the iceberg because we are only touching base with people who we know. There's so much more luxury sitting in remote areas in India which can still be tapped. So it's a journey, and but what I can tell you is luxury makes a lot of money, and I can tell you that a brand like Superdry will do 10 times the hard work to make the revenue that one single Toby Burch or a Tiffany store can do in South India. So that way luxury works. While the scale of the business will never be very large, individually for that brand. At least for the next couple of years, etc. And if the tide hits, these brands can suddenly explode, and that's what we are hoping and waiting for. But in their current form, also they're very, very profitable. All of them.
Hi guys. luxury you and I have also experienced while doing marketing and visual merchandising is that we match the uniformity. Whatever is happening in New York at Kate Spade, whatever window displays you see, whatever novelty collections we are highlighting at Kate Spade, we try to maintain it and we try to launch at the same time. So whatever you see, so I'll give you an example, like we did a picnic in the park collection of Kate Spade, where you could see all the novelty bags, butterflies, wicker bags with flowers. So we also had the same collection in India. So we did the same window displays, we highlighted the same collection to multiple influencers, which are all our macro category A influencers like Masood Minawala, Amrita Thakur, all the big influencers. So that uniformity is there, the trend is there, and we are talking about the same collection, what you see in New York, what you see in London. So that's the kind of trend we try to maintain. Coming to your point, that is how we also interact and educate the customers. So customers who have the access to these brands also know that whatever they saw in London is also happening in India, because that's the
Yeah, so
level.
that mental block that the consumer has to this luxury, यहाँ पे तो बहुत सा पुराना माल बनता है. I mean, I'm talking to yesteryears and that's what constantly keep hearing. यार इंडिया में नहीं लेना, बाहर जाके लेना है. तो बाहर जाके लेना यहाँ पे पुराना है. क्यों पुराना है? क्योंकि ये तो मैंने 2 साल पहले देखा था वहाँ पे मैं कहीं नहीं था. So since you have the onus and the responsibility at the brand of the guardian, that's what I'm sharing all these experiences happening.
Exactly, a lot of customers actually come to the store and ask us that, is it the same? Like, how old is the collection? Are the prices very different from what I saw in New York and what I saw in London? So, we are open to all of these questions and we try to tell them it's the same collection. You can see, check the website.
It is the mental block. In the past, we never had organized players in this, right? So you had this bit of guys who would carry करते हुए गलती नहीं पता कि वो genuinely है या आके लाया कहीं से China लेना से. So there is a mental block in the consumer's mind, and it's responsible for all these young girls who will be joining the guys, joining the brands, that they make sure that the consumer's mindset gets away from this. Then luxury will really peak up in this country. They have the money. You end up buying 10 things, you buy one bag. It's better enough. But for mental block, they don't have money. What we said rightly, that the scarcity of the stores that it has. You cannot open up everywhere. So you cannot rush into the stores everywhere after every 3 kilometers like we are. That responsibility lies on you guys.
That's how we maintain and educate the customers. And since we're portfolios of brands, I also handle street marketing. So what trends are, how big bottom shoes are performing, how you can style them. So you've already seen a lot of celebrities wearing them. So you will have to maintain that uniformity, tell the customers that's the trend, that's the way you can style yourself. So any questions?
I'll share something with Reliance. I'm not working for Reliance at all. But so for me also they are like seniors in the business that they are in. And it's all right. I'm very loud anyway. So all the child, what I've noticed is my experience that every time I bought into Steve or decent store for that matter, like last 5-6 years that I've been moving around and watching like how you go to the store and I want to experience everybody. So what I notice is when a different graduate passes out and you tell them to look for a job, how they rightly said, they want spiky job, digital world आ गया, so everything on the tap of the finger, they want कल से मिल जाएगा, अच्छा pay packet, अच्छा नौकरी, मतलब 18, 19 brand starting, and then when I went to diesel store, I saw fashion consultants who were gift wrappers. By the way, I went to Steve Maiden and I saw lawyers. So there were these lawyers who was helping me with the shoe last Feb. And I asked her, she spoke very well and she had this passion for shoes and I asked her, so are you a gift graduate? She said, so it's great that I go to a retail store because I love retail. I mean, something that I really love. Retail is amazing. You can't be sitting there if you don't love it. And when I say love retail, it's not FMS, making these class, it's actual selling. All this is selling, right? All this we're creating that we get the right consumer, right buyer. So when I went to Steve Maiden store, I saw a lawyer. And she was selling these shoes and she went down to make me wear a shoe and it was such a great experience that we have come to experience retail feel at that level that as a lawyer she's feeling privileged to be a seller. That experience is so amazing that you don't, I mean, what do I call it? You must know any नीचे तो नहीं देखते हो sales staff का होगा, what do you call it in English? I don't know. भाई engagement translate कर दोगे कोई?
Not looked down upon.
That you don't look down on my job anymore. I mean, you don't look at me like shit, I'm a sales staff. I want my next graduates, I wanted my children to experience that. Yeah, I'm a seller. Basically, when I started selling clothes, my father said, glorified tailor ban gayi hai. That's his first lamp. First, he was the chairman of the bank. He said, oh my God, my daughter's turned out to be a glorified tailor. I said, tailor to dad. I also do dad. I also do all this stuff in the office. You know, I'm not tailor anymore. Okay, so we have got this people who do some great jobs at the office. So basically, what I'm trying to explain is that we look at the sellers. So when we go to a store, we look down on a seller. And that is what we need to explain and need to give them that value, which I think Reliance has done that. Which is amazing, really. I mean, kudos to you guys to bring that level of caliber to retail. When you bring the seller as a fashion consultant, who's qualified, it's amazing. You know, most of the दुकान में जाओ, दुकान में बात करने की तमीज़ नहीं होती ना. So that whole impression about a seller is very low. You know how big is our team of people, right? Somebody's training them now.
Yes, sir. We put a lot of effort in terms of training.
Yes,
In fact,
amazing.
every time new brands are people are saying to their home countries to train on the shop in those countries.
And it reflects. That's what I'm sharing. I'm sharing as a consumer. So for me, everything I've watched from a perspective where retail is good, where retail is good. It's as good as hospitality industry, right? People are so nice at your business store and your
In fact, we've also created that niche. We were having that conversation on the niche of luxury. We are now building. I've seen one of those. There's a concept called the white crow. It's a concept. It's a multi-brand concept, not like a shop store. You will have to see it to believe it. It's a wardrobe display, which we started. We have done 10 of these as of now in state capitals. So we believe that the next level of which is outside the metros are the state capitals. We're building the white crows, and the white crow would typically have all our brands showcased in a wardrobe format, not like a shop-in-shop format. And those have been received immensely well. The first one opened in Ahmedabad 2 years ago. I think in terms of per square feet returns on sales, it's the best store in Ahmedabad. Then we opened Jaipur, Lucknow, Chandigarh, Indore. So we've been opening a lot of white crows to create that access. Because independently, these brands will never be able to open stores in these cities. But as I said, adjacencies always work. So if you create a unit for 20,000 square feet, which also has a very cool restaurant and has retail, and they are the coolest people who are selling their merchandise in the right environment. So there we are, I think, absorbing a lot of first-time buyers of luxury, and adjacencies also help. So the cheapest brand possibly there is a Superdry, but they are also selling Hugo Boss. They are selling Kanani, Brooks Brothers, etc., etc. So there is a constant upgrade that's happening in smaller cities. So that's another way of bringing luxury to your doorstep.
Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, one last question. Your advice for the juniors for maintaining work-life balance, because that's the one big thing pandemic has taught us. So
You must ask him whether
just
he is
because we
managing.
work so far.
But my question to Mr. Varma,
Yeah,
are you
so-
managing your work-life balance?
There's one question from them. Yes, louder.
What's your take on the Indian street fair brand? What do you look forward to the Indian street fair brand? And
Street fair.
He didn't ask.
For electricity.
what's your take on the Indian street fair brands that are looking to acquire Indian street fair brands?
See, we are trying to build a lot of Indian brands ourselves. As I said, the idea is to, when you say, do you look forward to acquire? We are looking forward to put investments into not necessarily acquisition, even a joint venture, even a partnership, where we think the current scale of business does not reflect the true potential of the business, and that could be across any strata of discretionary spend category. And we will do our due diligence and heavily support that decision. We can also acquire based on what the scheme of things are. But yes, the idea is to create a bouquet of brands that can grow not only strive in India. Yeah. So we've just put in money in Sunglass Hut as a business. We acquired Mother Care and the scale has become significantly larger. Hamleys or whatever it was, it's now we have an ambition to grow to $1 billion toy business, the biggest in the world. So that's so we're not restricted by what we're doing with Indian designs. It's similar to what you were saying, where the great people.
Something on the lines that you were talking about. Today, for us, luxury, we speak about, it's about a foreign brand coming to India. But down the road, when you think that India will be able to produce their own luxury brands, which will go abroad? We don't have much, okay, there was one, for example, if I were to talk about Neerav Mehta, right? He was an aspiration. He wanted to build India's first luxury brand, which would go up. That went down the hill. But when do you think, in the near future, that's something that can happen?
That's what, when I told you that what's happening in the designer world, and you've been hearing that we've already signed up at least 8 relationships with designers. These are all relationships where we believe that they're mavericks at what they do. Just that they possibly don't know how to scale the business up. And that's where Reliance comes in, steps in, and says that if there is the photo line, and I've personally met a few of them and I've seen Rahul Mishra is crazy mind. The way his designs are unbelievable, and he's been presenting in the Paris Fashion Week every year for the last 5-6 years. What he brings to the table, nobody else can. But to scale the business, there is a different thought process. To build Rahul Mishra the brand at a very different level is what we know, and that's what we're trying to achieve now. So with some of the designers that we signed up, the idea is, as I said in the start of why can't we launch in one and out of India? And that's what we're working on now. To support those brands which we can take to the world. And that's what it's work in progress. So possibly, if I were to ask my boss now, bringing brands into India and start opening this, what doesn't excite him anymore. What excites him is how we can give the world an Indian brand which could get that stature around the world. So that's work in progress for us.
It's not very far for India to get there.
Not at all. We are always in a hurry. So you guys asked me a question on work-life balance. I'll not duck it, I'll come back. So for me, I enjoy work a lot, and I don't see a line between them. So if I have to take a business call while my kids are sitting on me, it doesn't matter. And vice versa. So if there is something that needs personal attention, I can go out of work immediately. So there are no strict boundaries. So I don't do a 9-to-6 job. But I love what I do, and that's what's most important to me. So possibly somebody would say that work I do because I have to possibly earn a living, because I have to spend it in the party in the evening. Work is a party for me, so that works brilliantly for me. And it's a choice that I have taken. So I will never complain about work-life balance because I'm into what I do and make it work. And it's a company that we created. Nobody took us seriously for so many years. Everybody wants to be a part of the Reliance store. It's like our own house. So I don't differentiate between the two lives. I think it's extended family, all the people who work with me. I'm responsible for their careers. And I've invested in them as well, possibly. I'm investing in my kids' education. So it's a choice that I take. But there are a lot of people and I respect them as much, who come to our office, do the 9-to-5 job, and go back to people who handle their families, kids, etc. They have their own families. But they bring a unique skill to the table that obviously that is required in an organization. So it's for your own choice. The thing is that as Reliance, the canvas is too large, and you can do 20 things. So somebody would ask me, why did you start a bicycle business? It will obviously take few hours every week from me. And I'm already, it's not that the other 8 brands are sitting, chilling, and I don't need to spend that money. But because I know the canvas is done and it's interesting and I want to possibly be one of the best bicycle brands in the world, and this is an opportunity. I have stores in 18 countries. I can start from there as Hamleys and put the bikes there. And then possibly get a platform and somebody want something will strike where I will be able to distribute into children trade internationally while I'm doing it in India. That's an opportunity. Now I can choose to leave that opportunity. Nobody puts pressure on me. But I have that freedom. How can we grow dramatically? And I will over invest my time there. But as I said, I think we've been very, very progressive. Times when Reliance used to be a 6-day working culture, we were still 5-day working. That time also I would spend my Saturdays in stores where I used to love and to see customers interact. Nobody told me to. Before the pandemic, we went into complete flexi working, which essentially meant that your attendance is not linked to the output that you deliver. So we moved to output based. So these are the 5 carriers that you could deliver. You deliver in 5 hours and go on and yeah. Now a lot of companies, most of the retail companies have come back to office work. We said that we only 2-3 days ago in an office and the balance can happen at home because you feel physical interaction is so much more important. So 3 days is very, very important for you to come and interact with your teams, etc. We are flexible. We opened offices in Delhi, Bangalore, etc. It's a bit complicated, but the truth is that half of the same brand team sit in Bombay and half of them sit in Delhi. Now with Microsoft Teams and all those tech tools, they're constantly engaging with each other. And travel is so easy. People take flights, and if you want to come to, if I have to go to Delhi, I can take a flight 2 hours away from now, go to the airport. So travel has become easy. So boundaries are increasingly getting off. But what I want to say is you decide how much you want to engage. Obviously, this is a marathon where there will be fast trackers. People will fast track based on the input that you have to. You can't say that I want to get there, but I want to not put in the effort. That effort energy will decide the destiny in the coming years. Because we believe that, and I have personally walked that path, that you have to put in that much more to deliver that. It's ultimately a business. How much you deliver, you get rewarded for. But that doesn't mean that all of you have to do. But then people who do the 9 to 5 will also be prepared in their minds that somebody who's sitting today next to them possibly will start jumping. Because the ecosystem is built up. And that's why it doesn't matter, experience doesn't matter. Akshita is 4 years of college and she's buying for a 100 crore brand. Engagement opportunity. So, as I said, while buying, planning, merchandising are core profiles for you guys that we offer. We've been taking your seniors, super seniors, we've been taking MBA and internships also. I think wherever we've taken a lot of kids and we are happy to experiment. So if you're saying I'm coming from FMS but my calling is marketing, I want to do internship in marketing, we have positions and we position because we're growing the way we are growing. And I was a bit scared when Garima told me that she is looking from 60, 70 people to 84. Okay, she's increased that number. So and when I joined the company, there were like 16, 17 of us there. I think how many people in the corporate office? 2,000. So that's the number of people across offices and opportunities not only in India now across the world. I have kids who pass out of Dept. I think they're working on the Hamleys UK business sitting from there. And I'm sure one day they will move to the UK and interacting more there. So it's an open ecosystem while core roles are in buying, planning, merchandising, but we are marketing. We set up our own websites. We are the only company where the tech stack is also internal to us. So we operate around 16 mono brand websites and all those tech stacks are also done, so we can do so much tweaks, etc. On the technology stack, forget the performance marketing, etc. So there's a lot there. Marketing, obviously, we are biggest ecosystem. I think the in-house agency of Reliance is the biggest media buy, because we buy for media for Jio, we buy media for Mumbai Indians and all our large businesses as well. So there's clear synergies and strengths there. You know, we have a large media business also, so our joint venture with Viacom TV, we run publications, we run channels, etc. So there's lots of synergies you can build in. Every time I have to advertise, families will include and get a better price. But yeah, so you choose supply chain. Again, is a big subject. Supply chains are getting more and more important, coming front facing. The digital commerce companies are building very, very large supply chain ecosystems, because the new mantra is how do you deliver fashion and grocery as you deliver pizza. So yeah, so you would see today also Dunzo did a front page ad on Times of India saying 90 minutes में grocery करते हैं. That's obviously a super technologically advanced supply chain working behind it. So the supply chain is a big area where a lot of opportunities in terms of jobs will come. So you choose your direction, and we are open to try people across. And this is possibly your internship is the best time. In doubt होना कि दो चीज करनी है तो अभी करके देखिए. You know what the real and test the real part is.
Alright, then so we wind up. Thank you, Manu.
Thank you so much.
Lovely interacting and very informative. And thanks to all of y'all.
Thank you for giving us.
Guardian and rules. And see, Mama, 10 minutes.